Your brain is thinking right now, even if you try to stop it. In fact, try something for a moment. Try to stop thinking for the next 10 seconds. Just sit quietly and tell your mind to stop producing thoughts. You will quickly notice something strange. Your mind refuses to obey. Thoughts keep appearing. A memory from earlier today, a plan for tomorrow, a random question. It feels almost as if your brain has a motor that never turns off. Many people experience this and assume something is wrong with them. They believe they are overthinking too much or that their mind is somehow broken. They wonder why other people seem calm while their own thoughts keep running endlessly. But what if the real reason your brain will not stop thinking is not a flaw at all? What if your mind is actually doing exactly what it was designed to do? To understand this, we need to look at one of the most important functions of the human brain. Your brain is not just a thinking machine, it is a prediction machine. One of its main jobs is to constantly ask a silent question: what might happen next? Every second of your life, even when you are not aware of it, your brain is scanning the world around you and trying to predict the future. It looks for patterns, signals, and possibilities. It tries to prepare you for what might happen so that you can respond quickly and stay safe. Thousands of years ago, this ability helped humans survive in dangerous environments. Imagine a person walking through a forest long before modern civilization existed. If they heard a sudden sound in the bushes, their brain had to make a quick decision. Was it just the wind moving the leaves, or was it a predator hiding nearby? The brain that assumed danger had a better chance of survival. If it turned out to be nothing, the person simply stayed alert for a moment. But if it really was a predator, that quick reaction could mean the difference between life and death. Over thousands of years, natural selection favored brains that constantly predicted possible threats. Because of this, the human brain evolved to treat uncertainty very seriously. When something is unclear or unpredictable, the brain increases its activity. It starts generating possible explanations. It builds scenarios about what might happen next. It searches for patterns that could reveal hidden risks. But here is where things become interesting. In modern life, the dangers we face are rarely physical threats in the environment. Instead, they are psychological and social situations. Your brain analyzes conversations. It analyzes relationships. It analyzes work decisions, future plans, and past mistakes. You might replay a conversation and wonder if you said the wrong thing. You might think about a decision you made earlier and imagine different outcomes. You might worry about something that could happen tomorrow. In each of these moments, your brain is doing what it evolved to do, predicting possibilities. Imagine your brain like a detective working on a complicated case. If the situation is clear and the answer is obvious, the detective can close the case and move on. But if the case is uncertain, the detective starts building theories. Maybe this happened. Maybe something else is going on. Maybe there is a clue that has not been discovered yet. The detective continues searching for answers because the case feels incomplete. Your brain behaves in a similar way. When a situation feels unresolved or uncertain, it starts building possibilities. Each possibility becomes a new thought. Each thought leads to another idea. Slowly, your mind begins constructing different scenarios. You might start with a simple thought about something that happened earlier in the day. Perhaps you remember a conversation and begin wondering how the other person interpreted your words. That thought creates another possibility. Maybe they misunderstood you. Then another idea appears. Maybe they are upset now. Then another question arises. Maybe tomorrow's interaction will feel awkward. Before you realize it, your mind has created an entire chain of possibilities. Each one connects to the next. The brain believes it is solving a problem, but instead of finding a final answer, it keeps generating more scenarios. This is how the thinking loop begins. Psychologists call this process rumination. Rumination happens when the brain repeatedly returns to the same thoughts without reaching a clear conclusion. It is like a song stuck on repeat. The same part of the track keeps playing again and again. Your mind revisits the same moment, the same question, the same uncertainty. The strange thing about rumination is that it often feels productive. When you are thinking deeply about something, it seems like you are working toward clarity. Your brain believes that the next thought might finally provide the answer you are looking for. But here is the surprising part. Overthinking is not just a thinking problem. It is also connected to the brain's reward system. Whenever the brain believes it is making progress towards solving a problem, it releases small amounts of dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical associated with motivation and reward. It creates a subtle sense of satisfaction that encourages the brain to keep searching. Even imagining a possible solution can trigger this reward signal. This means that thinking itself can feel productive, even if it does not actually solve anything. Your brain believes it is getting closer to an answer, so it continues analyzing. One more thought, one more possibility, one more scenario. Maybe this idea will reveal the truth. But clarity often never arrives. Many of the problems we think about in modern life do not have perfect answers. Social situations, personal choices, and future possibilities are filled with uncertainty. The brain keeps searching for certainty because it evolved to believe that uncertainty could be dangerous. As a result, the thinking loop continues. The more you think about something, the more important it appears. Your brain assumes that if you are spending so much mental energy on a topic, it must matter a great deal. This belief strengthens the loop. The mind keeps returning to the same question, convinced that it deserves more investigation. Over time, the thinking becomes exhausting. At this point, Many people try to solve the problem by telling themselves to stop thinking. They forcefully push the thought away and try to ignore it. But this strategy rarely works. If you tell yourself not to think about something, your brain must check whether the thought is still present. And in order to check, it briefly brings the thought back into awareness. This process keeps the thought active instead of eliminating it. It is similar to being told not to think about a pink elephant. The moment you hear that instruction, the image of a pink elephant immediately appears in your mind. The brain must imagine the thought in order to confirm that it is avoiding it. Because of this, forcing your mind to stop thinking often creates frustration. People feel as if they have lost control over their own thoughts. They assume they lack discipline or mental strength. But the reality is much simpler. Your brain is following a system that evolved over thousands of years. That system was designed to constantly predict possible outcomes and protect you from danger. The problem is not that your brain is malfunctioning. The problem is that the prediction system sometimes keeps running even when there is no clear problem to solve. A helpful way to understand this is to imagine your mind as a computer with dozens of open browser tabs. Each question opens a new tab. Each possibility opens another tab. Each scenario creates yet another tab. Eventually, the computer begins slowing down because too many processes are running at once. The same thing happens inside your mind. Each unresolved thought remains open. The brain keeps switching between them, searching for answers. The result is mental exhaustion. So how does the thinking loop start to slow down? The answer is not forcing the brain to stop thinking. Instead, psychologists often focus on something called attention shifting. Your brain has limited attention. It cannot fully focus on multiple complex tasks at the same time. When attention moves away from repetitive thoughts and towards something engaging, the thinking loop loses its energy. This is why activities that require genuine focus can interrupt overthinking. Physical movement, creative work, problem solving, or deep conversation can redirect attention. When your brain becomes absorbed in the present moment, the prediction system becomes quieter. Another powerful shift involves changing your relationship with uncertainty. Many people believe every question must have an answer. But in reality, life contains many uncertainties that cannot be solved through analysis. When the brain begins to accept that uncertainty is not always dangerous, its urgency to keep searching slowly decreases. The detective inside your mind begins to relax because not every case requires an immediate solution. Over time, this awareness creates distance between you and your thoughts. Instead of being pulled into every thinking loop, you start observing the process itself. You notice your brain generating possibilities. You notice it building scenarios and searching for certainty. And once you recognize that pattern, something interesting happens. The thoughts lose some of their power. They become mental events passing through your awareness rather than urgent problems demanding your attention. Your mind continues doing what it was designed to do. It continues predicting, analyzing, and imagining possibilities. But you no longer feel trapped inside the process. The truth is that your brain is not broken. It is an incredibly powerful system designed to help you survive, adapt, and understand the world. The same ability that sometimes creates overthinking is also what allows humans to plan the future, solve complex problems, and imagine new ideas. The goal is not to eliminate thinking entirely. Thinking is one of the greatest strengths of the human mind. The goal is simply to recognize when thinking shifts from useful analysis into endless searching, because the moment you begin to understand how the thinking loop works, you gain something that many people never develop. You gain awareness of your own mind. And awareness creates freedom. The next time your brain refuses to stop thinking, remember this: your mind is not malfunctioning. It is a prediction machine doing what it evolved to do. But the moment you notice the loop and understand what is happening, you create a small space between you and your thoughts. And sometimes that small space is enough to step outside the loop and let the mind finally rest.